First things first, got some key levels marked out here, but what I want to take is an important note. So, what do you guys notice in the pre-market? All right, taking a look at this. This is QQQ over here. I have Nasdaq over here. I like to use QQQ for volume, so that's why that's there. So what I see right here really is that how we're holding this little range right here, right? We can see in the previous day a little bit of consolidation at 714.80, and we can see a little bit of hold at 714.38, right? What else can I possibly use to get a good range here? Well, if I come over here to session volume profile, again, this is under trading view, just go under the session volume profile. I'm going to turn this into that. Something beautiful to see here. Okay. So this is showing volume distribution. All right. So what I'm looking at is distribution. And now I'm looking at the previous day's volume session profile. What I want to look for at this point in time, okay, this is going to be called, okay, this is volume session profile. And what I'm looking for is POC. Okay. POC equals point of control. All right. That POC is equal to the white line. All right. So as I'm taking a look at this, you see that white line right there, 714.40, previous day range, point of control. So what I'm looking at and you'll have value area high, value area low, which is above or below the point of control. I'm not necessarily concerned about that though. What I'm concerned about is the point of control. I want to see where the highest amount of quote unquote volume or transactions or distribution is laying at. I can see that's at 714.38. All right, mark that level out, 714.38. All right. What about 714.82? Well, that's the top of the range that I liked from the previous day, that little consolidation range. And it's lining up perfectly. It's lining up perfectly on the day with that pre-market level. So I can see in the pre-market, it's respecting this pretty darn well, right? So now as I watch price start to play out, okay, I can see how when I'm deducing a setup, this is what can help me determine where my entry criteria is going to be and how I'm going to trade this. Okay. Again, funny enough, I've been trading this way for a long time. I'm just now starting to see other gurus start to catch on. They're starting to use terms like point of control, area of interest. They're starting to use order flow, things like that, right? All of a sudden, people are starting to catch on. But 3 months ago, they were trying to sell you on a 15-minute orb to the $300 a month subscription where they barely live trade. And whenever they do live trade, there's just a bunch of losses. All right. It's just a fair warning here. Fair warning. If someone is trading on a prop firm and there's no real consistency, meaning they're not really green every single day, there's a lot of red days in there, and they don't have this massive risk to reward ratio, you're probably getting scammed. Okay. You're probably getting scammed. So just something to be thinking about. All right. So back to this. As we're watching this play out here, what I'm going to do now is go over to something called a volume footprint chart. So what this is going to do is it's going to show us the underlying tick chart data on each candle. It's going to show us that tick volume as it comes in real time. It helps us confirm moves. So when I break this down over here to the wrong chart, hold on a second here. When I break this down to the volume footprint chart, again, same thing on the volume footprint charts. Anywhere that's white would be considered the point of control for that specific 5-minute candle because I'm on a 5-minute time frame. What can we see here, guys? What do we see at the open? At the open, aggressive selling pressure. Now, I know I'm showing this to you after the fact, but this current trading day at the open, actually on my call outs, I called out my trade. I said, all right, calls. I'm in QQQ calls. Right when I entered, I saw it on the order book. I identified it. I said, we're hitting a wall. We're hitting a wall. Those are my exact words. Price started to pull back. That's this. This wall happened. So 75,000 on the buy, 43,000 on the sell. Happened like that. I saw the wall occur in real time. Didn't exit the trade because I'm like, well, there's more buying pressure than selling pressure. My thesis is still correct. I'm entering with increased buying pressure showing on the tape. I'm still going to hold my trade, even though I can see that there is a wall, because what happens when we snap through a wall? Oh, we fly. We fly. So I'm sitting here and I'm being patient. Now, price does reverse. Price reverses. Okay, that's a lot of selling pressure there. 152,000 on the sell side. As this is starting to push down, I'm looking at the order book level too. I'm not seeing many orders hit the bid. The bid was going to drag the price down. I'm not seeing many orders come in at the bid. I'm still seeing orders trickle in at the ask with okay volume for what the volume was on this day. As I'm watching that play out, I trade options personally. I'll call out NQ futures, but I trade QQQ options even when I enter off of NQ. So as I'm watching that play out, I'm like, you know what? These options contracts are holding up very, very well. So taking a look at the options volume on the contract, specifically, I was watching the 716 calls. They had over 12,000 on the volume. So that's a very high number of volume. And as I was watching that play out, also, NQ had reversed 20 points. Meanwhile, the options contracts had only pulled back about 8%, and then they hit 10% for a split second at the peak, but 8% really. This is telling me the premiums are on my side. Premiums are gaining value, even though we're selling, because technically it should be close to a 1-to-1. So if NQ is pulled back 20 points, I should technically see the options contract somewhere around negative 20%. It might be negative 16%. It might be negative 24%, but like that could have stopped me out. But as I'm sitting there watching, like contracts are holding up. I have no reason to get out of this trade. It's holding up beautifully. My confluences also were holding up very well. So when I took a look at SPY and NVIDIA, which I used to trade the NASDAQ, they were both pushing. I had, again, zero reason to get out of this trade. So I hold. I also express this out loud. I say, guys, option contracts are holding up well. Do what you got to do on futures, but I'm still sticking in this trade. It's doing well. As this starts to come back to the entry, I just reconfirm. I'm like, yep, still the 716 calls, still like it. We'll see what it does. Then these orders start to trickle in, and now you start to see that push to the upside. You start to see the increased buying pressure and the lack of selling pressure. And this just moves beautifully to the upside, albeit with low volume, but it does. It moves gorgeously. And as you can see, that's how we got the remainder of this move. Okay, now, hey James, why 105 points for the majority exit? Like, if you really believed in this move, why would you not just hold it up here? Well, I don't have a crystal ball. We're forming new all-time highs. So my basis was, because I do like to see higher volume, I would have liked to have seen at least above 1.5 on the tape. Seeing half of that draws caution for me for sure. So definitely scaling out of the position on this first push up here, and then basically fully out of this trade at 105 points profit. Because in my eyes, I'm like, look, we've essentially moved 100 points profit in 10 minutes with essentially no pullback, with not the strongest overall volume. It is strong buying pressure, that's for sure. There's basically no sellers present whatsoever. They were there for the first, 20 seconds, and then they were gone. So I'm just telling myself, I truly don't know when this is going to pull back. I have to wait for volume to confirm a pullback. I just have to. But otherwise, I'm just going to scale out appropriately where I can scale out at. And as you can see, it really doesn't happen until we get almost to 200 points profit. We get that pullback into that key level, 549, which I was also able to mention this on the live. And this is something at this point where you just start to look for point of control shifts. So I'm going to teach you right now. This is what I call an exhaustion move. Okay. This is a beautiful tool I like to use to help identify possible rejections. All right. Again, your guru has probably never taught you this. And then now all of a sudden it's probably going to be on their YouTube videos after I post it. But what I look for is a reversal in the delta on volume footprint chart. Delta on a volume footprint chart simply means the variance between the two. So you see that there's 433,000 on the green, the buy side, and you see there's 443,000 on the red, the sell side. So this delta, the negative 10,360, is simply the difference. That's all. Sounds complicated? Very simple. Additions and subtractions. The total is those two numbers combined. Oftentimes, when you see the inverse, okay, so a green candle with a red delta, negative delta. So you have a green candle making newer highs with a red delta showing a shift in buying or selling pressure, or the opposite. You see a red candle with green delta, okay, it signals a reversal, a potential rejection, or a potential bounce. In this case, it would be a rejection. What else do we have to take note of here? We are at a key level, 29,666 as a key level. So I can see that we're struggling. Not only are we at the key level, right? Candle closed right below the key level. I can also identify, hey, even though that candle is quote unquote green as I'm watching that play out, what I'm also seeing here is that it has a red delta. This would draw caution, okay? When I was in this trade, did I think we could see 200 points? Yeah, it's only 20 points away. Do I think it's going to keep going? No, a pullback is inevitable at this point. The second that candle closed, a pullback is somewhat inevitable. Another thing to take note of here is the point of control, the white area, has formed right at the top of that candle's body close. That is something that also makes me a little more on the cautious side. Just because of that, it's forming as a resistance, it's forming as a ceiling. Whereas this one formed as support, that one formed in the center. It kept going to the upside, forms as a ceiling. Double top rejection, double top rejection, right? Just decides to plummet. So that's something I want to keep an eye on. Now, what do we see as price sells? We see an increase in the negative delta. This is confirming, quote unquote, that it does want to sell. Okay. So this is how you would be identifying those things in the market. This is again a beautiful example from literally from today. And I only like to use examples from like live trades I've personally taken. I hate people that go back and cherry pick stuff like, well, I happened to catch this, but nobody watched me do it, and I happened to do this on the line, or you know what I mean? Like, it needs to be done in real time. That's the only way to prove legitimacy in this day and age, where you can edit everything. I recently had somebody I found out they were editing their Tradezilla stuff. They're just posting Tradezilla stuff after they edited it. I can't believe it. So everything nowadays can be edited. It must be done in real time to show legitimacy. And again, any type of profitable system is so if someone's trying to tell you a system is profitable, that means they should be able to prove to you throughout a long duration of time, I would say the course of a year, on live sessions only. It must be live. They must trade on regulated brokers, and they must be able to show you consistent success with those trading strategies. If they cannot do that, it's not consistent, it's not successful. You're simply paying their mortgage. Hate to say it, but that's what you're doing. All right. So just remember that. Um, the only other thing I can possibly add to this, I would say, is volume in itself, like using volume footprint, what I've showed you, using volume session profile, what else I showed you. These things help tremendously, but these are tools that complement each other. Okay. I cannot just use one thing. I don't just show up to the market and use order book level two. I use order book level two, time and sales, volume footprint chart, volume session profile really is only to help find key levels or confirm key levels. I don't use it in like an open session, but I will use it in the pre-market prep or just identifying levels overall. Um, Bookmap for those people that like to spot liquidity zones, right? I personally don't use Bookmap, but I know that it is a good tool for others. A lot of people swear by it. Yeah, things like that, right? But it's all about culminating these things together to help you identify trades. But at the end of the day, the number one thing that drives markets and moves markets is volume. So I will be that biased person that says any strategy revolving around reading volume accurately in real time is going to be more accurate than other strategies. I'm not trying to say it's better. I'm just trying to say it's more accurate. So it depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for like a more mechanical, like textbook strategy, or are you looking for something fluid like this that can adapt to any market? This can adapt to any market. I can trade markets that range. I can trade markets that break out with long trends. I can trade flat markets. We could really trade anything with this. That's the beauty of it. The hard part about this is it takes a long time to get used to reading order book level two and time and sales. I mean, the fastest I've seen someone get good at reading quote unquote volume is right around a year. I've never seen anyone do it faster than that. So it's just something to keep in mind. And a lot of people will give up, right? They'll try to do a strategy like this 6 months in. They'll do it for 6 months. And they'll be like, yeah, I'm going to move on to the next shiny object, shiny object syndrome, 15-minute orb, you know, anything else. It doesn't really matter. I'm not hating on that stuff. I'm just saying they're trying to move on because it's proven to be too difficult for them. So just know that before you jump into a strategy like this. All right. So hopefully this provided a lot of value for you guys. That's my goal whenever I make these YouTube videos, is to show you guys good education based on my live trades. Okay. I will be dropping a beginners session, day trading for beginners. So if you've been looking forward to that, that's going to be coming up here soon. It'll be a relatively long video for sure, but I'd rather have it all in one place for someone just so they can just favorite one video and keep that. But yeah, hopefully you guys appreciated this. Let me know in the comments if you liked it, your thoughts on it, any comments, concerns, like and subscribe. Obviously, I would love that. Let me know. All right, guys. 1% better every single day. You guys have a blessed one. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, everybody.